So at the moment I have lots of inspiration but no real direction for this project. I'm not sure if it's going to be a journal insert or a greeting card or maybe a folio. I have decided on this paper because I like those linear lines, and I've cut up lots of my scraps. These are like borders from printing out digitals, and I really wanted to use those. So I used my border punch, and then I stamped them with these French sayings. And so I'm trying to decide if I'm going to use the printed side, which I like, just kind of something like that, but random. And I'm even going to use these little ones that don't seem to have much that they're holding on to randomly too. The whole idea is for it to be random, right? So it kind of blends in when you've got all that stamping and burnishing going on. So the alternative is to use the white sides that aren't stamped. There's going to be more contrast if I do that. So the question is, do I want contrast? If I do contrast, they're definitely going to jump off the page more. So I haven't decided what I want to do. But that's nice. But there's still a little time. I also ran them this way and didn't like them that much. I found this piece of paper that's left over from a card that I made previously. So I cut off the attachment edge so that it's got a better shape to it. It still has this fold line down the center, so I tried to rub that out so I could use this and then like put a little ink on it to make it go away, but you can still kind of see it. And then I scored it right here so that this can be a pocket someplace in whatever it is that I'm making. And if this line here starts to bother me, this fold, I can put some kind of a little fun piece on it. I don't know what. Maybe a strip of this down the center, I'm not sure, will help out. I also had this scrap left over, which was 3 of these cards in a row. So I decided to keep them together and I scored them. And so this is going to become my gift card holder. And I think what I'll do is, of course, use some of these offcuts as a belly band, maybe use like a couple of them, right? And then I can just put my Starbucks card right in here, close it up, and that'll work. I can also put a sentiment in there, right? So, have some thinking to do. Stay tuned. So this is a little progress update. While you were sleeping, and I was up really late last night, must have been like 3 or 4 a.m., I'm struggling with the COVID that I got at my dad's funeral from relatives last Friday. So, having difficulty sleeping sometimes. So, I have all of these pieces of cardboard saved up. And these are like the platforms that separate the cans of cat food when you buy like a case of 24. So I thought maybe I might want to use those. So what I put together last night was this 3-panel folio. So I just took those. They're about 5 by 7. Rounded the corners, gave them 1/4 inch spines, glued them together, made this one a little bit shorter so it closes nicely, and it's nice and sturdy. See how you get this nice even gap if you cut that short. So I'm thinking this is going to be my base, and it might be like a mini journal. I think it's going to be a mini journal rather than a card. And I've been playing around with inking it up with white instead of my usual brown, just to give it a little contrast. That might work. And then this project is really all about using up those scraps that I've showed you. So I took some of the larger scraps last night and I embossed them using my Anna Griffin embossing folders, and then I burnished a little bit, stamped a little bit with my really expensive trusty template. And then I also used one of my favorite die cuts to make these tags, stamp them up with thoughts of you. So that's pretty. I found these circles, cut them out. Also found that I had this envelope that I never used, so I'm going to incorporate that somehow. Some shabby chic flowers. I also have a die cut that makes these little, where's the other one here? It makes these little torn looking squares. So there's a smaller one, this size, it gets bigger and bigger. So I'm thinking I'll use this as some kind of adornment somewhere, and maybe not, I'm not sure. Found some of this, that might be good. What else did I want to show you? I think that's it. But, so I have some direction. Just wanted to let you know. This is a quickie update on adding my one signature to this petite folio. I've just finished poking 3 holes here where my signature is going to attach, and I made this little template for myself by cutting it the height of my folio, folding it in half so I get the center point, and then I measured 1.5 inches in each direction and made another mark so that when I held it up here, I'd get a good approximation of where to put those holes. Now, even with doing that measuring, this hole here came out like a little bit lower than the other holes, and that's just like, a special Ann Heatherton technique. Like, you can't get that everywhere, right? But it is what it is. I love how that white printing came out on the inside, or the white stamping. Now, here is the signature, and it's 14 pages, so folded over, that's 28 pages. No, I'm sorry, I have that wrong. It's 7 pages. Folded over, it's 14 pages, or 28 writing surfaces, right? And I used my template to mark my holes. I made my holes with my awl, so you can see them coming out here on the top. So I want to use these little brads for this, and I wanted to use these brads in the past, but I chickened out. But I'm not chickening out today. Today I'm going to actually see if this will work. I'm excited for this to work, right? So let me give that a stab, and I'll let you know how it turns out. Hey people, so here's what I had to do. These little suckers weren't going in as easily as I would have liked them. It was really hard to get them to kiss up to the points in here where they need to come through. So I got the bright idea, and maybe it's not so bright, but I thought it was. I got out my needles and my waxed thread, and I went ahead and did just a mock-up pamphlet stitch so that I could get this part to adhere to that part. And once I had it in place, and before I tied it off, I went back and stuck the studs in, and they eased in a lot easier because they were using, or I was using, this thread as a guide as to where I was going to go, right? And then once these studs were in, I removed this. I just simply slipped this back out. So I'm very happy that it's in there, and now that it's positioned, I can see that I need to do a little trimming here on my pages so that it fits more like I want it to be, but that's the update on how that went. So today I'm sharing what I'm calling a petite junk journal that I made using some Stamperia offcuts and also all of these white offcuts that I get when I use digitals. And I tied it with a bit of crochet lace because it seems to marry well with the theme, and I added this little key and some pearls. And then the front cover has this really feminine chipboard piece, and I adorned it with just a simple rose and backed it with some of my scraps that I had embossed. You can see how the pieces that I added came out, and although this particular cardstock doesn't really need more visual texture, it does add tactile texture. And you can see that this second cover on the inside has lots of that as well. And then I left the back cover smooth and put this little handmade with love on it. And here you can see the brads that I used. And then I added some brads on the other spine too, just for stability and because I really love the way it looks. So if we look inside here, this first section is an envelope, and you can see I added some shimmer mist to that. And there's a little tuck spot, says Remembering Monkey Do. And I love how this elegant paper plays off the roughness of this cardboard. I love that whole juxtaposition. I think that's what they call that. So in here is stuffed some unused ephemera. Believe You Can, Dream Big, some little pretties. And then this section here is the journal. And I learned this tie-off idea from G. Kerr. It kind of captures something in the middle of a folio so it stays under control. And these are mostly all tea-stained papers that have been stamped. There's a little pocket here with a place for a little message. This is vintage wallpaper and a little pocket and some of my offcuts. This paper has simply been stamped. Here's a little bag with a pretty piece of ephemera in it. This is just a tuck spot with a tag. Here is a piece of roughly paper that's been stamped. That's tea stain paper. Here's another bag, and this one is separate. It says Friends on the back of it. Here's a tuck spot. I made this by just using a piece of ephemera and one of Tim Holtz's memo sticks and a piece of ephemera stuck in here with some crochet. And this is a nice writing spot. You Matter Most to Me, and this is on some pretty lace digital. And here is a belly band. with a pocket. And then here's a live and laugh, a little journaling card. This is actually rice paper, I believe. I love the texture of it. This is a circle pocket. You make it by cutting one circle, then another circle, cutting it in half, and then stuffing it. This is just a natural pocket made by folding this over, and some pretty Stamperia paper. Some more rice paper. Here's a pretty pocket made out of one of my offcuts that was embossed. And then this is that clear vellum, and I take this out so you can see the print that was on that. Really pretty. This is some of the wallpaper with some writing spots in the back. And then a little pearl adornment with some hanging threads. This is a little tuck spot. It says, "You're amazing." This is a Tim Holtz photo. Some more of those offcuts that creates a writing place. This is just an adornment that's glued on. Another one of those circle pockets that's been filled with some tiny ephemera. Here's a bag. And this has a nice writing spot. And lo and behold, this is actually one of the Tim Holtz packaging inserts that I've sanded up and stamped, and I think it looks good in there. I kind of like that. And then here's another little pocket made with my offcuts, and pretty little card tucked in there. So let me close this up quickly. I love the way it helps it stay in its place. So the center section has a pocket with a little tuck spot place, and this of course is my gift card, and I've already tried out the gift card. It fits perfectly in there. I've embellished this a little bit with those little shiny dots. And then this is that material I had left over, and I used it as a pocket and added some of the lace to it. There's a pretty little moth and another little booklet. I feel pretty. That's kind of the theme of this entire petite journal, is I feel pretty. And I wanted a long tag to put inside this pocket, and I didn't have one. And of course, you know, I'm trying to use all those offcuts. So I had made these and decided to simply glue them together to make a long tag. And I loved how this twine looks when you separate the fibers. Love that look. So I think it came out pretty sweet. Thanks for letting me share.